Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 323 of our Be a Better You annual challenge and day 19 of our No Nonsense November 30-day challenge. Today we're talking about energy. Everything is energy. There's so many different things that we could talk about with respect to this topic, but I'm going to kind of hang with where we've been going with this and how we can use knowing and understanding our own energy to create the life that we want, right? To be loving, love being, and to be ourselves. That's what my overarching purpose is. I didn't discover it until much, much later in life, and now I like to share it because it's been such a powerful change for me in the way I show up in the world, in the way I do things, in the way I communicate things, etc. So today's topic is all about energy management, the importance of understanding that just like time is a limited resource for us, and the tricky thing about that is none of us actually knows how much time we really have here on planet Earth. Energy, on the other hand, is something that is in our control, whether we believe it or not, and we can decide how we're going to spend our energy. How are we going to spend that limited amount of time that we have, being that that's our most valuable resource? But our energy and our attention is the most valuable resource we can actually provide and give. What we pay attention to, we get more of in our life. That's why I am a huge proponent of gratitude journaling. And just even if you don't journal because you're like, I don't like journaling, I don't like writing things down, just thinking about and feeling the gratitude and the appreciation and the thankfulness for the things that come your way that are what you want creates more of those in your life. So we talked about boundaries. I believe it was day 6 of the No Nonsense November challenge. So it would have been on November 6th, and how that impacts and how we can go about setting those. What do we want to do to prioritize our energy over different areas and aspects of our life? We talked about priority setting a little bit yesterday, right? And the importance of that on helping us to create the life that we want. So how do you go about doing that? Well, we rest strategically. Each one of us has our own little, I always say, we each march to the beat of our own little drum, because that was often said about me growing up and as a child. And even in my nephew's wedding a couple of years ago, his fiance, then wife, who I'd only really never met, I don't think I'd maybe met her once, gave a big speech after they got married. And one of the things she said was, and then there's Sherry, she marches to the beat of her own drum. And I just was like, okay, well, she knows me pretty well for not knowing me very well. Anyway, so we want to figure out what works for us to preserve our energy, create more energy, etc. And it's going to be a little bit different for each of us. That's why I say use yourself as your own science experiment. And I do that on myself all the time. I'm always testing and tweaking and figuring out what works for me. For example, I learned, much to my unbelievable nature, that by me getting exercise every day, or getting out in nature and getting out, and no matter what the weather, even if it was terrible, made me feel physically better and gave me a boost in energy. So I've tested different times of day to exercise. I used to exercise first thing in the morning, and then I exercised in the evening after I was done with my work day. Then I exercised around lunchtime. I've done and tried it all to figure out what was the best way for me. And now my secret is, it is my no mind time or my meditation time on an exercise bike for an hour. And if I want to, if I feel like just not thinking about all the things that are going on in my life, I will ride my exercise bike and watch a no mind show or a movie, or I'll start a movie and I'll watch a movie for an hour and then I'll turn it off. And then the next day or whenever I bike next, I'll pop back in and use it. And that gives me more energy. I found that eating right for me, which again, there's something you have to figure out. It's different for each of us what fuels us and gives us more energy. And if I stay in alignment with what it is that I want, and I focus on what I want, I get more of that. And that reminds me, I'm going to pop into our card, or my card. This is a card I pulled, and our saying, because I forgot to share it yesterday. I even put it on my lap so I would remember it, and I still forgot it. So today's is, and I was going to share both, but I don't think I'll take the time to do that. If you're curious, let me know, and I'll put a picture of it in the comments below. This is yesterday's, which is really interesting because either the card or the Wayne Dyer saying will be something I absolutely need to hear today. I don't know what it is or when it's going to come up, but I know that it is because it has happened every day for 19 days so far. Some days it's both are spot on, but usually one or the other for sure. I can think of an exact example where that message was something that I utilized and needed to know and have in the forefront of my subconscious, not buried deep down in it, to deal with the situation during the day. So today it says, I can stop attracting don't wants by attention to do wants. What does this mean? And I encourage you to do this exercise all the time. If you're stuck, if you're feeling like you're not moving forward, if you're feeling like you're on that hamster wheel and nothing ever changes for the better for you, sit down and write down everything you don't want that's in your life right now. Write it down. And you're not going to show anybody, just write it all down. Might be about your relationship, might be about your finances, might be about your career or your business, might be about your health, might be about your ability to communicate, might be about any number of things, but anything you can think of, just dump it all out and write it down. There's incredible power in doing a brain dump. It's why I used to always have, when I worked in corporate America, like a 400 item running to-do list, because I knew once I wrote it down, when I was ready to work on something else, I would go to that list and pull it and pull the thing I needed or wanted. But if I didn't write it down right away, and if I didn't put it somewhere where I knew where it was, it's almost impossible, in my brain anyway, to retrieve a singular little piece of information. I learned that about myself in college, that I had to have a very systemic way that worked for me and a process that worked for me to study some of the complex subjects I was learning in college. And if I didn't do it, I didn't get the grades I wanted. If I did do it, I did get the grades I wanted, which was awesome. So I can stop attracting the things I don't want as soon as I start focusing on the things I do want. So what's the other side of that equation? Now, after you got that list, go to the opposite and just, what's the opposite of that? Because that's probably what I do want, or tweak it a little so it is what you do want. And then from now on, every morning when you get up, read that do want list. Burn the don't wants and just read the do want list. Or sometime during the day. Read it one time during the day and see what happens. I challenge you to do that. Our saying for today is, you have the God-given right to be successful. In your Creator's eyes, no one on the planet is any better than you. I believe that. And the other side of that was kind of fun too. It says, having a plan for success isn't necessarily unhealthy, but falling in love with that plan is real neurosis. Don't let the plan become bigger than you are. I will admit I've been guilty of this in the past, and I'm doing a 21-day manifesting challenge, and yesterday's topic was all about detaching from the outcome. We can set goals and objectives, but if we get out of our own way and we let the world and the circumstances around us and nature and everything help us and show us things, we will get to that goal or that objective or that thing that we want 10 times, if not 100 times faster than if we try to make it happen on our own. So today, think of a place in your life where you are not using your energy wisely, or think of one thing that you can do starting today to improve your energy. Maybe you need a power nap at 2 p.m. for 10 minutes. I cannot tell you how many times I have dozed off on the couch or nodded off watching a Disney movie with one of my granddaughters at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Why? Because my body was tired by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I just needed a quick recharge. So I say I don't nap, but I guess nodding off with the granddaughters watching Disney counts as a little power nap. All right, any questions about this? Any things about energy? Hit me up and ask. It's one of my favorite topics. And share in the comments below when you've actually done this today. One way to improve your energy. I'm going to say let's focus on the positive. Let's just think of one way that you can improve your energy today, and then tell me what you're going to do that. And if you actually do it today, write done in the comments below so we can all celebrate it. All right, have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.